happy to see familiar faces from the community and some new faces. Before we begin the presentation about AI tools every coach should know about, I will shortly introduce what Hub for Coaches stands for. So we are a community created by the coaches for the coaches to help fellow coaches get certified and build sustainable coaching practices. We have different events for certification events like ACC and PCC experience sharing, exam focus group, and an informative event where we go through a step-by-step procedure how to get certified and how to prepare for the exam. And we also have events and courses on business building side. We have a bi-weekly business accelerator meetup where we go through different exercises together and then stay accountable with a certain homework until we meet in 2 weeks. And then we also meet once a month with a creator business accelerator, MCC, ACTC, and a successful coaching business owner. And he helps us out with different coaching business questions we have. And also we have a series of events called I Love Coaching. I Love Being a Coach, So What Now? So there are different coaches, practitioners, discuss different aspects of their practices. And also event series is called Build a Paid Coaching Practice, where we go through specific steps to kick off the coaching practice. It's how to get into the business owner identity, how to sharpen your brand positioning on LinkedIn, how to do customer discovery and sales offers, and how to actually have good sales calls. So the sales call workshop is going to happen next Friday. So make sure you join the community for free, and you can follow our calendar, and there's a classroom section for courses. So that's a short intro, but today we are meeting to talk about one of the aspects of coaching practice. It's using AI tools, and I'm very grateful for Michael and Marco being here, and I will let them introduce themselves. So the floor is yours, Guy.
Thank you so much. All right, so over the last couple of years, we really had quite a few moments with AI. I remember back in 2023, I was like, what is this? What do I do with this? And Marco, who's been a long-term friend of mine, said, Michael, you've got to pay attention to AI. It's going to change everything. I was like, really? These chatbots, they don't seem very smart. Then I think everybody can agree. At one point, we all felt like, oh my gosh, is this thing going to take my job? Like, is my future as a coach secure? Now, I think in 2026, we're kind of feeling it out and we're thinking, well, how do we do this the right way? How do we intentionally move into the age of AI and build a coaching practice that acknowledges AI and possibly uses these tools to amplify and to make our coaching stronger? So that's what we're going to talk about today, are the tools that you can use today and tomorrow to be able to build a coaching practice that embraces what the future can be. And the future, Marco and I agree, is where artificial intelligence meets human transformation. This is what we want. We want to be able to use AI, and we hope to inspire the world to use AI in a meaningful way that does not, take away human connection, but actually elevates human connection, learning how to connect with people at a deeper level. This is quite a bold vision, and hopefully it's refreshing. We are going to go over the tools that you can use, and think of it like you're going into a store and we're going to walk down the aisles and we're going to point out to you the different AI tools. We're going to take a look at it, point out the price, show that some of these are free, but it comes at a cost. And then you can put it back on the shelf if you don't want it, or you can then decide, hey, this fits with my coaching practice. Marco and I interviewing coaches over the last year, we've learned that everybody's coaching practice is a little bit different. Some people are life coaches, some people are communication coaches. This call, I think, are a lot of people who are ICF coaches. And so you need to make choices that best fit your coaching practice. The three tools that we're going to go over are we're going to talk about transcription bots. You can see there's a few of them in this meeting. Mary's Note Taker, Otter AI. We're going to cover these and also the most popular LLMs so that you can understand how powerful transcription analysis is with AI. Then we're going to take a brief little sidestep to cover a different kind of AI that can help you edit videos so that you can broadcast your brand as a coach. And hopefully that will help you position yourself to do more discovery calls and more conversion to get more clients. And then lastly, AI co-working agents. This is the future of AI. Maybe you've already started to hear about it. Things like OpenClaw, AI agents that are able to do tasks and skills, and you create workflows to be able to help you focus on your clients. You can be present in your meetings because all of that administration work is done in the background. This can be a conversation, so feel free to raise your hand and ask questions as we go through the content. After each set of tools that we go through, we'll pause and ask for questions. If things come up, you can put them into chat. Maria and Marco and I will look at the chat as a way to engage you. Anything else they should know before we introduce ourselves, Marco?
No, that was a pretty good summary.
I will
All right.
also jump in, as you said about the chat. If you have a question about the community or you want specific links or event info, you can also type it in the chat box and we will cover it. But preferably, Marco and Michael will get a lot of questions.
Great. My name is Michael. I am the founder of Instride Leadership. I live in the Bay Area. Marco lives in the Bay Area, California, Silicon Valley. And most of my clients are AI tech leaders, and that's why I'm really exploring that intersection between coaching and AI. When I'm not talking about AI and coaching, I'm doing martial arts, and that's how I met Marco, is at the local dojo, and we've been practicing martial arts together for 10 years. Marco, introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I'm Marco. I've been a software engineer for the past 15 years, and last year I've decided to quit my job at a big enterprise company and start working full-time on my own project, which is called JourneyLoop. And that's what Michael and I have been working on together, and you're gonna hear about it later for a little bit.
Great. Let's get started. First, recording and transcription analysis. There are three buckets that fit these kind of tools. The first bucket is bot free. This is not the Otter AI that you see in this room right now. This is going to be a way to record your coaching calls that is on the device. Another bucket is when there's no bot and there is AI in the background listening to the conversation and recording a transcript and possibly creating a summary notes. And then there is a multi-platform bots that travel with you as you go through different types of meetings. So with these three buckets, you're going to recognize some of these companies. But first, let me ask, how many of you are currently transcribing or recording your coaching sessions? Let me get a raise of hand. Steve, Lauren, and Martin. All right, so why are you, and Gata, let's hear from a few of you. Why are you recording these coaching sessions?
Mainly for analysis afterwards and sometimes for meeting recaps.
Great. So analysis afterwards, reading recaps. What else?
Same.
Steve,
Sorry.
say that again.
Same.
Same. How many of you are currently getting your ICF credentials and you need to record your transcripts to submit them and possibly be assessed. I know Steve is, and Martin also. Being able to record these transcripts, yes, one or two, they provide you a little bit of analysis. You can do a meeting summary, a meeting recap, but if you collect a lot of them, you have a lot of rich context, a lot of raw data, the original source of how you communicate, how you connect. And it's through possibly the meta pattern of 100 transcripts, 200 transcripts that you could possibly see your personal strengths and maybe possibly some of your blind spots when it comes to coaching. So I recommend getting into the habit of recording these. So the bot free ones, one product that is out there that is really popular. If you travel through San Francisco, there's billboards all around going granola, granola. This is an on-device recording. So, for example, you show up to an in-person coaching session, it records and it keeps the transcript on your phone. It does not upload it to the cloud. That might appeal to some people. This Most of these transcription services are really focused towards business meetings. They're not focused towards coaching. So with Granola, it encourages you to take notes or not take notes, and then afterwards it will give you notes of what happened. But you can imagine in a business setting, it's really the logistics, the solutions that everybody's agreeing upon. It's not really putting the transcript through an analysis, AI analysis that leads to coaching insights. Now, the next set, these are ones that we are familiar with. AI Companion on Zoom, Google Meet, and also Teams. This runs in the background. Like right now, this session is being recorded. It's most likely being transcribed. And you don't see an AI companion joining that's bot free. And the benefit of this is that everything lives in one ecosystem. So all of the transcripts for Google Meet gets put into a folder in your Google Drive. And then when you go to Google Drive, all of your transcripts are in one place. But if you're like me with my coaching clients, some of my clients want to join through Zoom. They want me to join on their Zoom. Maybe I'm joining on Google Meet. Sometimes I'm joining on Microsoft Teams. And so collecting all of these transcripts is pretty hard if you have this single platform approach. So that's why companies have created a third-party option. And this is with a bot that travels with you. It's a companion. So when you go to a Google Meet, the companion joins you. When you go to Zoom, it joins you. So the companies that are really popular right now are Fathom AI, Otter AI, which I see somebody has here, JourneyLoop, which we will talk about more later, and then Firefly's AI. Yes, everybody is trying to find the solution that meets a large group of people to be able to build a company and make some profit, because the future of AI needs your data. All of these are about $10 to $20 per month. Almost all of them have a first free trial, so you can try and see if this is the user interface that you like. And then they also offer those summaries that will automatically be emailed to you or you can access. The one that, of course, we're building the future of coaching with AI, JourneyLoop, with this transcription, it sends a link to the client and it says, hey, do you provide consent to be recorded for your coaching sessions so that it can be used to put into an AI that helps you develop coaching insights? Any questions about these AI tools? Yeah, really, it depends on how you work. I can imagine if you're an internal coach, you most likely will choose AI Companion or Google Meet. But for most coaches that we're working with coaches who have a private practice that then find clients in various spots, and that is why that third party with bot multi-platform option is probably the best. So with those transcripts, a lot of people want to take them and put them into an LLM, into an AI chatbot, and that's what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah. So let's see. There's really just four major players out there, and I'm sure all of you have heard of them, and most probably used one or multiples of them, right? So there's Gemini, which is developed by Google. Then there is Grok, developed by X or Elon Musk. Then we have ChatGPT, which is developed by OpenAI. And then finally, Claude, which is developed by Anthropic. So cost-wise, they're really all sort of in the same ballpark. They start with a free trial, and then the next tier is around $20 to $30. And then obviously there's a lot higher tiers, which are really expensive. But these are probably the ones that are most attractive to you. The one thing I'll mention here is be careful when you use one of these AI tools in the free trial. They most likely will use the data that you put in to train their own models. And that is especially important if you're working with sensitive data like client call transcripts and stuff like that, right? So be careful what type of data you use. And in the paid plan, make sure that you have the checkbox ticked off that says, yes, you can use my data to train our models. So that's
Yes,
just
you
about
can
the
or
cost.
cannot.
Yes, you want to turn off you want to not allow the tool to use your data, right? So there in the paid plan, there is an option to turn it off, or in the paid plan, it's already turned off by default, but not in the free trial. Now, ethics. The one thing I'll say here is whenever you use an AI tool nowadays, it's really worth looking at the company behind the tool and the people who run the company. For example, right, when you look at Google, they're very much enterprise data security, data safety. They run huge workloads, and all the AI that they come out with is built for these gigantic professional ecosystems. So data safety is really at the forefront of where they're going. When it comes to Grok, they claim to be all about free speech in their own interpretation of what free speech means, right? But here again, it really matters who's behind the company, right? Look up Elon Musk, what he stands for, and the ideas that he has for his company and his AI. With OpenAI, you might have heard it in the news recently that they're going to be introducing advertisement into ChatGPT. And to me personally, that already feels like a red flag, right? So I would really just flag them as profit first. And with Claude, yeah, we're really kind of thinking of them as human first. You might have seen them in the news too recently, where they had kind of like an interaction with the US government, and they're saying, hey, you can't use our AI in your war efforts. And so if the humanity aspect of it is important to you, then you might be wanting to go with Claude. Now, personality-wise, right, if you've talked to all of them and kind of compare the vibe and how they talk to you, they all come across with like different personalities. So Gemini, we found, really kind of comes across as helpful and polished. Grok very much is the witty rabble, right? It says all kinds of things. If you go on X and just look up all the things that Grok says to people, just throw your hands up. If you talk to ChatGPT, that usually comes across as very efficient and clear. And Claude almost seems, poetic or scholarly. It feels almost human, very organic. So if you're looking to, write beautiful text or copy, Claude is really, really good for that. And now the last column is just kind of an FYI, things we think are worth noticing. With Google and Gemini, it's really awesome. If you're already in the Google ecosystem, you use Google Calendar, you use Google Docs, Google Drive, all of that stuff. Gemini can be really powerful because it is safe to use with all of your data within the Google ecosystem. So if that's something that's interesting to you, take a look. Grok, we're just saying it really has red flags all over the place. So just be careful when approaching Grok. Um, OpenAI is run by Sam Altman, who has also been a controversial figure lately. So just worth looking into. Again, who runs the companies that provide your AI really matters. And we find it's worth mentioning how Claude is just really purpose driven. One thing that I always find interesting is that they mention or that they have a soul document baked into Claude. So they really believe that down the line, somewhere in the future, there might be some intersection of AI consciousness, human consciousness, does it mean to be conscious and awareness? So that's kind of the path that they're on, and I find that really interesting. Yeah, so any questions around the different LLMs or chatbots that you see that are out there? There's a lot more out there, right? There's open models. These are just the most popular that we find are in the market right now.
While
I'm
you
not,
think of Heather,
I'm not
go ahead.
sure. Maybe you will get into it, like what is the safest in terms of like sensitive data protection and leaks, but you might get into it.
Let's
No,
go into it right now.
this is the right
Yeah,
slide for it, right?
yeah.
Right. So again, when it comes to data protection, it really just matters to listen to the people who run these companies and what they say about how they're going to use your data, right? For example, OpenAI is going to sell part of your data to companies who want to serve ads, right? And that is just something to be really aware of. Grok and Elon Musk, I do not trust him with my data personally, with everything that he's been doing with the US government, right? Google and Gemini, however, they cannot afford to mess with their customers. So for them, it is super important to really keep your data safe. So I feel very safe using Gemini. And just having heard everything that Claude or that Anthropic has been saying lately also makes me trust them a little more, even though they're a fairly new company, right? Google has been really old and established, and all these other companies are fairly new on the market, right? I mean, OpenAI is not that old, even though they're so big right now. What, like 3 years? It's crazy how fast they've been growing. Is it? Oh God.
No, it's been 7 years because they were nonprofit. So, personal story between Marco and I was playing around 2 or 3 years ago with taking the transcripts from my coaching, dropping them into ChatGPT, the free version, and just seeing what would happen. And it was a nonprofit, so I was like, nothing bad can happen, right? I'm just playing around with this technology. And then last year, Marco was like, absolutely not. You cannot drop it in. And I was like, why? I'm like, it's just a free technology. What are they going to do? I'm like, nobody. And he was like, no, you're training that model to become really smart. Everything that you share with it, it's using that data to become smarter and smarter. And then when they moved from nonprofit to profit, and then they started to introduce ideas like they're going to use that data to then attach it to ads, that's when it all came clear to me. These companies, right, you are users. You might think that they're providing you a free tool, but really they're just learning to get to know you. And as a person who was a early influencer 10, 15 years ago, I was on Instagram. As soon as it opened, I was like, yeah, I'm going to use it. There were no ads on Instagram or Facebook. It was just a paradise of connecting with people, and I wanted to share all of it, and I wanted to share who I was with the world. And then slowly these companies started to introduce ads, and now when you go to Facebook or Instagram, you see social media, it's two pictures of influencers that you don't know, advertisement. That could be the future of these AI companies as they learn to profit from the people who are using it. That's the scary future. So
That's very
privacy is
scary.
super important. We recommend paying for a subscription so that you can click that box saying, no, do not use this data for training the models. And they will respect your opinion right now, especially Gemini and Claude. For me, Grok and OpenAI, they're questionable. Heather, I saw that you had your question up. Maybe we answered it, but I would love to hear your question.
Yeah, no, thank you, Michael. My question is more if you've started off using one of these tools and like to change to another, is there anyone who has experience with that, and what that looks like?
I did it recently. Marco, do you want to give it a shot first?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, that's a great question, right? So just changing from one tool to the other is pretty straightforward. What's difficult, I guess, is moving over the customization aspects of it and the data that the tool has about you already, right? ChatGPT started out as just a blank chatbot, and there was really nothing to migrate. Now you have like memory, you might have documents in there, and you might have all kinds of chats and all kinds of information that can be really difficult to get out of one tool and move into another tool. When you use Gemini, that's already way more complex because it goes into all of your Google Docs and whatnot. So there's no straightforward answer, and it looks very individual and very different for everyone depending on how they use the tool. But that being said, you're not the only one with that problem. I would recommend going online and seeing how people have done it. This is a pretty common use case. People saying, I don't want to use OpenAI anymore. How do I move to Claude? And so there's even like ecosystems and tools built around helping you doing that.
So when I quit OpenAI, I followed some steps that I saw online, and you can go in and you can download your memory. The memory was images that I created, conversations that I had. It wasn't like a synthesis of how I interacted with ChatGPT. And that was kind of disappointing because I thought, oh, I can just take this memory and just transfer it. Maybe that will happen in the future as we explore. People want to, break up with one platform and move to another one, and somebody will come up with that solution. You can go into ChatGPT and just ask it, how do I like to interact with you? And what are the most important things that you've learned about me that I can take to another platform? And it will give you that information. I did that and I moved it over to Claude. It was a good starting point, but I'll put this in a very coachy, human to human way. Interacting with an LLM is very much like a relationship. Sometimes when you break up with somebody that you first dated with, it's best just to stop and start a new relationship. You get to be a new person in this new relationship. And that's kind of a funny analogy, but really, you get to start from scratch and build a whole new relationship. And I don't know about you, but I have a chain of ex-boyfriends before I met my husband. So that's how I think about it.
Thank you both. That was really helpful.
So, Michael, as you are a coach, which tools for what are you using?
Right now, I am using a combination. I'm using Gemini and Claude back and forth with an AI companion that Marco built. So I'm moving between 3 different LLMs. A lot of my coaching is done through Google Meet, and so I can have the transcription of every meeting, and it lives within the Drive, Google Drive. I can take those transcripts, and I have a paid subscription to Gemini and a paid subscription to Claude. And also, I'm working with Marco for our own AI agent. And I drop the transcript knowing that it's safe to analyze it. I do not use any prompts. Prompt engineering, that is a relic of 2025. I know we're moving fast. If you learned anything about prompt engineering, maybe you learned about getting this paragraph of instructions to tell the LLM what you want to have done with the information. You don't need to do that anymore. These things are so smart. It reads it and goes, oh, this is a coaching transcript. Are you interested in learning more about this? And you can iterate with the LLM. Gemini is really cold and calculated. It's super polished, and maybe I can get an insight from that, but it doesn't really know me yet. It might get to know me more, but it seems to default to its base coding, which is let me just organize your information. Claude, when I drop it into Claude, it is very emotional. It says, you did a great job really creating space for that client when they revealed their fears about X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, Claude. It's like I'm talking to a friend, but at the same time, Claude's LLM, the major programming, it doesn't really know me yet. And so with the thing that Marco and I are building, I'm not trying to plug, just trying to help you understand the landscape. The future of these AI bots will be that they know you personally so that they can start to predict what you want, and it has a history with you. So when you interact with it, it can possibly say something like, oh, you talked about this with me 4 months ago, and I can see your thinking has evolved. That's going to be very powerful, especially for coaches when these AI bots know you and they can track your learning, your progression. And as a coach, speaking to coaches, like I'm coaching to develop my own mental model of how to interact with people. It's becoming more and more and more sophisticated. And when I am learning how to be there for other people, that's when I think my clients are learning how to be there for others. So it's turtles all the way down when it comes to which platform.
Thanks for sharing that, Michael. So imagine if there's like beginner coaches who are not that familiar with AI yet, and they would like to start transcribing and analyzing sessions. What would you advise them to do? How to start?
Told you, Marco. I knew this question was coming. All right. So I'm just going to do the little told you so dance right now.
Okay.
All right. My recommendation, starter pack. If you don't want to go with a set solution and you would like to patchwork together tools, I recommend Otter AI. Otter AI, you can have the bot join the meeting. If you're doing in person, you can press a button and record it. Then I recommend taking those transcripts and putting them into Claude and see if it is something that interests you. That is, I think, a beginner step to using AI. You can take 5 to 10. I would recommend doing 5 coaching sessions with one client, taking those 5 transcripts, putting it into Claude, and just see what happens. It will track what has happened, tell you how you're doing, and for ICF people who are looking to be accredited, say, what are my strengths and weaknesses with the ICF competencies? It will tell you. It will say competency 4.3, you are evoking awareness. Competency 7.2, I can't remember them off the top of my head, you were asking accountability. And that type of interaction, I think, is gold, especially for new coaches, to be able to familiarize themselves with the the competencies, and to be able to be seen. Now, is it going to be 100% guaranteed? No, of course not. Would you trust, your uncle to give you 100% perfect advice on anything you do? No. See the LLM as just a really smart. They know a lot, but sometimes they make really stupid choices, and sometimes they're very agreeable. They're sycophantic. They will tell you what you want to hear. And when you hear that, and you've all had friends who told you you look good in a shirt or in clothing that afterwards you're like, how did you dare let me out of the house wearing that? These are the same thing. They will tell you what you want to hear, and you have to have that awareness of going, huh, that feels really good to hear it. Is that true? And you can ask Claude, can you provide verbatim evidence to prove that your claim is true? There are a few things that we want to share, so I'm looking at the time. Let's go quickly over the next group, the next tool. And the next tool, I'm going to only take 2 to 3 minutes to show you this one. And this is all about social media presence and becoming an influencer to a certain extent. How many of you record yourself and post videos of yourself talking on LinkedIn?
It's so uncomfortable, Michael.
I know it's uncomfortable, but this is one of the best ways to build credibility and reputation as a coach. And it is not as difficult as it used to be. So in the past, when I recorded my own videos, I would have to use an application like this to be able to edit them. And it would take me an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of listening to myself and watching myself. And millennials can do it a lot better than maybe this generation. I do not like to listen to myself. I don't like to watch myself. I outsourced it and paid somebody else to like edit some of the videos. But now we have AI that can help. And there are 3 platforms, 3 tools: Riverside, Descript, and then SteamYard. All of these have AI features. One of them is it can automatically remove filler words. So if you're saying and ah a lot, or you're pausing, it just does a jump cut. It has eye contact fixers. So like you can read something and it will digitally put eyeballs looking at the camera. Sounds really cool. Not
It looks really
100%.
derpy.
Yeah, it does not look really cool. So don't be fooled by that. And then also there are AI clips. So imagine you talk for an hour, you put the video into one of these tools, you click one button, it finds your best sound bites and edits for you. It sometimes works. For the best one I think is Riverside. It's $15 per month. It has a so-so user interface. Sometimes it's buggy. The best part about it is that it records locally on your computer, so the video and the audio is sounding and looking really good. Descript is a little bit cheaper. Same thing, but it records to the cloud rather than locally on your computer. And then SteamYard is really for, maybe, Maria, this could appeal to you. It's for large webinars, and then it also records it, and then you can also edit it. So it's kind of similar to what we're doing right here. I'm going to show you a demo of Riverside so you can see what it looks like. All right. So this is a video that I recently did with a neuroscientist at Stanford. We're both talking about communication skills and how to appeal to a wider audience when you're a scientist. So instead of editing a video, all I need to do is edit the script. So it does an automatic transcription. And if I decide I don't want this paragraph, I just delete it. And then it automatically edits it. So I don't have to listen to myself. I don't have to watch myself. Then over here with the AI tools, I can automatically remove pauses, and it will look through everything, remove those pauses, remove the filler words. And there, if I edit it down to about 30 seconds, I can then look at the video and see if it is worthy of posting to LinkedIn. Something that used to take me 2 hours that I avoided, I can now do maybe in 20 to 30 minutes, get it out there. And yes, clients find me through the videos that I post. they see me and they have that sense of connection. So then when they come into that discovery call, it's not so cold. They're familiar with how I speak and how I connect with people. Any questions about these AI tools? Oops.
Very interesting. I think I'm not sure who is already using any video editing tool to upload videos to social media about the coaching, about the results, process, clients, stories. Anyone? I guess no one, because no one raised the hand. So yeah,
This
me neither. Me neither. I actually did recorded messages, like a couple messages with iPhone, like old school, just holding with my hand. So I had to rehearse the speech for like half an hour.
it does
That
take a
could be much
lot.
easier
So
to not do that.
right, you can record on Riverside with your phone, so you can get
Yeah.
that like Instagram influencer vibe of walking down the street. And then you take that 30-minute video and you can upload it to
Ah.
Riverside. And then that's where you get the jump cuts where it seems like it's one thought, but the editing of the video cuts, and the person has already walked down the street by the end of the 30-second video. Makes it a lot easier.
Oh, that
All
sounds
right.
fun. I think
Yeah,
we should have a challenge in our community to test it out.
I recommend
that's
it.
fun.
So, I, if you have questions about it, I've learned how to do it. It's not my favorite thing to do, I will admit, but it is quite powerful. And when my clients like my videos on Instagram, just think about how many people see that, and then it builds a reputation, a credibility.
Mm.
All right, I want to make sure we have enough time for this last section, which is the future of AI, and that's where Marco and I are living. All right, Marco, you ready?
We live in the future?
We live in the future.
My God. Yeah, so we found 4 tools that we're gonna put into this really broad category of what we call co-working AI tools. So the first one I think is interesting if you're working in the enterprise space. So if you are thinking about how to scale coaching into organizations and into big groups, what CoachBot AI does is, might be want to bring that in. Yeah, so you can create AI coaches. So you can create, if you imagine you want to create a little workforce of specific coaches that you can then bring into your organization and give to employees to get coached. So, right. So the big thing here really is that AI does the coaching. And I like to always separate AI tools into these 2 categories where AI does the coaching or AI does not do the coaching, but the human does the coaching. So here, this is the tool for enterprises to really scale AI coaches, and it comes with an enterprise cost of $500 a month.
Yeah. The way that this made sense to me is if you've ever onboarded to a new company, sometimes you have lots of questions, and trying to get FaceTime with somebody at HR or somebody on your team to ask these really basic questions. It's hard. So instead, provide the new employees with a bot that answers all of those questions. There's advantages and disadvantages to this. I like human connection, but of course, democratizing coaching is what it's called, is when you make it more accessible to everybody, because having the right information at the right time gives you power. All right. Coach M, this is a product that is still being developed. I saw a demo of it a couple of weeks ago, and you can imagine you're in your ICF coaching call, and about 3/4 of the way through, you need to ask about accountability. Now, we trust our clients to be able to fulfill that accountability, but could AI help? So, what this product does is when you're getting to the accountability part of the coaching call, you ask, what would you like to go on the record for your accountability with Coach M? The client says it, you type it into a website. The client, George, is saying that he will have a conversation with his boss. And then you ask, by what time are you going to have that conversation? And you would like Coach M to reach out to you to check in about that accountability. The client says, how about Tuesday, April 27th? You put the time. Then you finish the coaching call. Coach M, which is an app on your phone, notifies you the day of and says, hey, don't forget, you're going to have that phone call or that meeting with your boss to talk about that very important thing. How did it go? Or are you nervous about it? And you can interact with the accountability AI bot. And then when you come into your next human coaching session, you can talk about whether that felt good or not. Right now, this is being developed. It says contact the salesperson for pricing. The next one is coachmind.ai. And listening to this demo, what's that?
TrueMind.ai.
Oh, what did I say?
CoachMind.
CoachMind. TrueMind.ai. This one, very similar to what Marco and I are building. And I really appreciate what they are trying to do. They are saying, with all of those transcripts from coaching, let's create a platform that allows coaches to make a more elegant argument about how coaching drives leadership performance, which then drives up ROI. So when you are talking to the CFO of a company, the chief financial officer, you can make a persuasive argument about how coaching has potentially made the leaders stronger so that they can drive profit for the company. And you get this feeling like we know that coaching helps, but drawing a causative line from point A to point B is not really that easy to do. So they're trying to solve this problem of showing the impact financially on coaching in business. $99 per month for 9 sessions. And of course, with the price increase, you get to upload more coaching sessions. Then we've got this final piece. Go for it.
JourneyLoop, that is what we're building. And how JourneyLoop is different is really in the way where it focuses, right? So the other AI tools that we've heard are mostly, focused on organizations or maybe on the client or the people that you sell it to. But JourneyLoop is focused on you, the coach. So what we do is you get an AI companion that joins your coaching sessions and learns about your practice over time. And we built that to really help you prep for clients, reflect on your coaching skills, and overall just support you in your day-to-day. Because, as you all know, coaching can be quite an isolating profession, right? And that's also why we get together as a community every week to share notes and ideas about how to use AI in coaching. So in our company, every coach that joins us gets a little AI companion, and every week we get together and share notes and see how everyone has been using the AI and how they use it in their day-to-day life to just grow and transform themselves into the coaches that they want to become. Right now, we're still invite only as we're setting up the company and building this and figuring out the pricing. So if you want to join us, shoot us a message.
No. So those are all the AI products that are bubbling to the surface right now that I think coaches, Marco and I think coaches should know about. And the future is AI. It scares me. Like, I'm scared of the future. You should know. Like, I am at this point in my life where I'm like, okay, I need to do something. I have a responsibility. I live in the United States. I need to stand up for what I believe in. I have my purpose, my values, and how do I make an impact on the future? It is by choosing how I spend my money and supporting those companies that I think are going to build the future of human transformation with AI. But I can't tell people what to do. That would be dictatorial. That's not what I want. I want people to come to that determination, that choice by themselves. So that's why we really reinforce like, go explore the tools. See which one fits with what you want. Where do your values align? What is your purpose in coaching? Does AI even belong in it? I know with my AI tech leaders that I'm coaching, they are so curious about how to supercharge their coaching, how to really see that progression because time is so ephemeral. We can actually track it with AI and you can get evidence into support to say, yes, I learned something. But you got to do you. You got to choose you. And that is where you walk down all of the aisles of the supermarket, looking at all of the AI tools. I recommend going and trying them out and then reporting back to Maria and to the Hub for coaches as a way to deepen the conversation around AI and seeing like this works, this doesn't work. What do we want? How do we advocate to companies what we want so that we can really help our clients grow and learn? So,
Thank you, Michael and Marco, for overviewing the different AI tools we can use. So how would you invite, like for a coach who is just starting, to introduce AI recording and AI analysis into the coaching sessions, to feel them, how would they sell this idea to the client to record the session and for them to feel braver at doing it?
good question. First step, if you are a new coach or you're a little weary of AI, it's really using these tools possibly in a deliberate practice with each other so that you get a familiarity with it, that you are confident that this is taking your coaching to the next level. Without that familiarity, right, when you're doing discovery calls or you're making a pitch to a client of introducing these tools into the coaching session, you might not have that confidence. And this is something that I've shared or talked with a lot of new coaches about. They're like, I tried to say to my client, can we use AI to be able to record the session? And I was like, well, how did you say it? And they're like, well, I asked, is it possible? And I'm like, well, if somebody said, is it possible? I would be like, no. But if you say, hey, I think that this is really helpful and it's going to make me not only a better coach, but you'll be able to track your learning through our coaching sessions, the person's going to be like, yeah, great. And there's no comment. It really is a sign of confidence. So to build that confidence, first step, play with the tools, practice it with other coaches, see the impact, and then from there, you'll be able to make that persuasive pitch.
That's a very good advice, Michael. Yeah, just to first get comfortable yourself with the tool. And so does it mean that you like provide the progress to the client, the summaries each time after each session? Do you like have like a summary of like after the package of sessions? How do you do it?
Great. It depends on each coach. I'm now in the season of I don't want to email people. Like the coaching session ends and I'm off doing something else. But I do remember a moment in my coaching career that after each coaching session, I would reflect on it and write a follow-up email just so that everything got solidified and then I could feel like there's a forward progression. I can imagine after a coaching session, you put in the transcript. I think, did Steve already leave? I know I was
Yes.
talking with Steve, and Steve really finds it helpful to write that follow-up email after each coaching session. What I do nowadays is I do 12 coaching sessions, and then that penultimate coaching session, I look at the data and I synthesize it for the client and say, let's reflect on our coaching journey. What do you remember? And because I have all of these transcripts and I've reviewed the journey with them in my mind, I'm super present for that conversation. And that way, when they say things, I'm not going, was that you? Or was that another? I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was pretty amazing. And then at the end, that's when I say, like, what goals do you have next? And they say those goals. And I'm like, do you think coaching could help? And then I put it on them. Sometimes that means that we go for another coaching journey, or that is where we part and go different directions.
Mm.
The bottom line here is I say you do you as a coach, wherever you are in that progression of learning how to be there for your clients. And through the whole process of transcription and playing with AI, it really helps you be more present in your coaching sessions.
Mm. Thank you for sharing how you use it. You were talking and I'm just thinking, oh my God, should I start it with my new client? What would they say? And I'm a little bit scared that if we expect to have notes or summaries or like overviews or reminders of what we talked about, we will not be fully in the session.
Ah.
Like, will we like expect, okay, now I'm talking whatever, and then like later on I'm gonna read the notes of the session, and I'm like, I want them to be fully in. So how do I like promote it in a way like this is just a support, but they're like working fully in the session?
Have we ever gotten this question before? It's a beautiful question. Marco, does anything come to
No.
mind?
That's not really a concern I've heard before.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, glad to be the
This
first.
is
Yeah.
so how it has worked is in the background, the client is tracking their progression through notifications that the AI is creating or I'm creating to share. And they look over them and then they come in with this sense of like, oh, I've already accomplished that goal. That was really cool what you sent me. Now let's dive into the next one. And I'm like, cool. And we just are connecting as humans. So think of it as like AI as the room that creates space for a more deep conversation. I haven't had clients really in like reference the AI content in the session. The only time was this one client of mine. He got into the session and he was like, I know AI is listening to this, so that's why I made sure I accomplished this goal before coming into this next session because I really want to make sure I'm achieving these goals. All right, so today my topic is this. I was like, damn, that's cool.
Okay, so some accountability like is increased by AI being there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry, I think I took over with my questions, but whoever still has a question, I don't know if you, Michael and Marco, do you still have a few minutes?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can answer any questions that you have. And I know you wanted to say one last piece at the end for your wider audience, Maria.
Yes. I see that, I don't know how to pronounce, Isoto raised a question. Would you like to unmute yourself and say it out loud?
Ivani, hello. Hi,
Oh,
Michael. So good to
Ivani, nice
see
to
you.
hear your voice.
Um,
Hey.
I love the presentation. Hi, Marco.
Hi.
Um, Something that I still struggle, as I'm a new coach, it's the to get the client to agree to the recording. Imagine not even asking them, no, I'm going to use the recording and, explaining them the use for the AI and like how it could benefit them as well as myself. How you pass that resistance, kind of hesitancy, how do you approach that? And what has been proven to be successful for you? I know you're established coach, which is probably a different scenario where you and I are right now, but just as no new coaches, how can we start thinking about that and presenting that to our clients?
My belief is centering human connection, right? That's why I got into coaching. That's what I want to make sure coaching is all about for as long as I want to do this job. And I believe that there's a large group of people who want the age of AI to center human connection. So in that discovery call or that first session, connect as humans, really show like you're there present with them. And at the end, I recommend towards the end, if it's a discovery call, after you've established that human connection and they see the value or worth of working with you, you can say, to take this to the next level, I'm using AI to be able to elevate the conversation. Is that something that interests you? And if they say yes, awesome. If they say no, then you're respecting their wishes and you're moving forward. What I recommend is it really depends on that sense of confidence when you're doing that pitch. I have a sense of like, "Ah, yeah, this is going to help." And then that enthusiasm helps them move forward. And then, of course, after that first session, when they see what can happen when things are transcribed and they get some insights from AI, that's when they're fully on board. Marco, I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, I just want to add that we found there is very specific language that you can use that really works, that we have just developed over time with the coaches we work with. But we also found that it really helps to give clients control over what happens. So if they have a way to say, okay, I want to be recorded or not, and here's what I want to be able to do with the data. So do I have control over deleting the sessions once you've recorded them, or is that all in your control? That really matters to people. So we've developed a system where clients can just say, okay, I have access to all my data, and if I want to, I can immediately delete it and I can access it. So handing over the control to them really makes people feel a lot more confident with being recorded.
Okay, that's a good point. I'm assuming that we're talking about computer savvy clients because sometimes then it's harder for when it is different. I don't know how easy it is the tool that you both has built. I need to dive into more details, but that could also be another barrier, right? If the person is not computer savvy and like how I'm going to navigate and how well we can not only present the tool, but also help them, navigate and understand how much control they have over. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky. I'm friends with a tech person. I hope everybody can find their own Marco. But as I went through this past year working with my friend Marco, I was like, oh, you know how to talk to coaches. You know how to take them step by step through this technology in a way that is not condescending, in a way that helps people understand it and make their life easier. So, yeah, let's keep the conversation going because Marco understands it to the nth degree and he's able to put it into language that I can understand as a coach so I don't get overwhelmed.
And Michael teaches me how to do it, right? So I am planning to put out more content on really breaking down all of these things because I keep hearing the same questions. It's on my list of things to do.
And now I know what to do. What is on my list of to do is to become friends with Marco.
Yes.
We already are friends, Maria. I've known you for a while now.
Oh, sorry. Apparently, that's already crossed. Okay, so thank you so much for this amazing workshop and conversation. If you have any more questions, feel free to type them in the discussion board in Hub for Coaches community, or find Michael and Marco on LinkedIn and connect with them and chat with them directly. There's a possibility that we may continue this conversation on AI with them because this is the conversation that's going to grow and grow in importance. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise and knowledge and how you work in your day-to-day life.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
thanks
you,
for the
Maria, for
opportunity.
opening up. Oh, we're talking at the same time, Marco.
I said my piece.
Thank you for opening up your community that's growing. And yes, we would love to continue the conversation around AI and coaching.
Perfect. So thank you everyone for participating, for coming to the meeting. And this recording will be available for everyone, both in the community next to other free recordings and both on our YouTube channel. So find the YouTube channel, Hub for Coaches, subscribe, like, and comment on videos, and follow what we are doing here and what Michael and Marco are doing with JourneyLoop. Thank you so much.
Bye
And
on.
see you soon.